something else. But we're live. Hey, Facebook.
Kick us off, Josh.
Hello and welcome to today's Power Hour. Today, with I20SP and with all of you, discussing a number of topics: how to find your voice, the census, and voting. Seriously stoked to be here with everyone, to be able to have a roundtable discussion with all the homies and be getting to some important things that are happening today in our time, in our places. Really quickly, I just want to say to the Native Wellness Institute, thank you for having us on. And also to all of the fellow I20SP people who have joined us today, thank you for taking time out of your busy baby schedules to be with us today. I'll pass it over to Shay.
Cool. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Again, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the Center for Native American Youth for sponsoring today. Today, we're going to be having a conversation with the four of us, and I hope that you chat with us in the comments as well. If you have any questions or topics or, just comments in general, let us know. I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. So Naha, hello. My name is Shailene Joseph. On my mom's side, I am Ani from Fort Belknap, Montana. And on my dad's side, I am Koikon at the Baskin from Tanana, Alaska. I work for the Native Wellness Institute, and alongside these three beautiful people and many others, work with the Indigenous 20-somethings project. And so I'm just super excited to be able to spend this time with these people and also with you, and having these conversations about a topic of finding your voice and what that means, because there's so many ways to do it. I'll pass it on over to Sid.
All right, so Yat Ash as Sirvike Yanishia, Tapahanishle, Sinjakina Bushes Chin, Delaganisha Chase and Anjanishnella, Say Hotso Den Nasha, Shema Aylin Adams, Wilya, Shia Brandon McKay, Wilya. I have a little baby girl. Her name is Hosea. You can probably hear her. Hi. And then my partner, husband, Tomas, is on as well. Over here. Yeah. And that is who I am. I'm super excited to be here. I was just eating some salsa right before we went online. On the last bite was so hot. So if you saw me drinking my drink, that's why, because I'm like low-key whew, it's hot. I'm starting to get a little sweat right here. I'm super excited to be here and just have conversation with my fellow I20SP homies, home dogs. Thank you to our sponsors and also for NWI for having this space to have this conversation and to just get the word out of our topics for today. I think it's really important, and just so thankful. And I'm going to be going on mute because our little baby girl is expressing herself too, but she may. Oh, yep. Okay. Love you guys.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tomas Carmelo Amaya. I am Ashwi and Yoeme on my mom's side and Raramuri on my dad's side. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, which is the ancestral homelands of our O'odham relatives. I live here with my partner, Sierra, and our baby girl, as well as my other immediate family and extended family. I live here in Phoenix. It feels good to be here to talk with you today. And what I do for a living, I'm a film director, writer, photographer, and co-founder / ambassador of I20SP. I love working with our I20SP team and with NWI, and I'm just always thrilled to be a part of these power hours. They do a lot for me personally, and I hope they do a lot for you as well. Elakwa, thank you.
My name is Joshua Cocker. I'm Kiowa Koigu from the KCA in Oklahoma, and also Tongan from the South Pacific, over there, middle of the Pacific. It's just a bunch of little awesome rocks in there. Born in New Zealand, raised in both Oklahoma and New Zealand. I'm super happy to be here with you guys. I also have a baby with us, so my mute will be coming in and out as well. But yeah, super stoked to be here with you guys. Super stoked to be talking about these things. I mean, I really feel like what we've been asked to discuss today as a crew with all of you guys is really important, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening in the comments as well. So I got pulled up here, kind of like paid attention to both. I'm a facilitator with the Indigenous 20-somethings project and the Native Wellness Institute, as well as a, professional wild child. I worked in the outdoor industry for a number of years before coming to the Native Wellness Institute, working in search and rescue, also working in cave guiding and wilderness therapy in the state of Arizona. So I mean, that's kind of where I like to go. So I'm thankful to be here with everyone and grateful to be able to have the opportunity to speak. Let's get after it.
Cool. Yeah, I think from here we're just gonna kind of chat and see what everybody's been up to, kind of a check-in. Usually we're visiting with each other fairly often, but I feel like we've all gotten kind of busy. So it's good to see your guys' faces. Josh and I have been training together, so I've been seeing this guy the last couple of days. But yeah, I think just a check-in over here. Today, I realized this week is week 21. I base my, well, I guess I'm in quarantine, but not really, like, social distancing. Right, being in our homes, being safe, and I base it all off of like the power hour weeks, like how long it's been, because we started basically like at the very beginning of this. So in week 21, I think this is the longest I've ever been home in like my entirety of my life. And so it's a really interesting time. I've been trying to like just transition the way that I do things, and I have a plant. One of my friends, I didn't tell these guys, I have a plant. One of my friends for my birthday sent me a plant in the mail because I was joking about like, oh, I can do all of these things that I said I never had time for because I've gone too much. And she bought me a plant. It's a week old, still alive. And that's big for me. It was right here. It's in somewhere in the house. The very first, like the whole week, every single day, I was like, look at it as if it was going to run away. And now I'm convinced, I don't know what happened to it, but, I would check on it all the time. Like, are you alive? Are you good? Do you need anything? And I was like, always just so nervous. But it's alive. It's well. It's in the house. Maybe somebody took it to take care of it. I water it every once in a while. I don't know what kind of plant it is. And I was like super stoked because I was like, oh, it's a cute little plant. It's like this big. It'll stay small. And then my friend that bought it for me, she was like, oh yeah, no, like that thing's gonna get giant. And I was like, oh no. Panic set in a little bit. But I'm excited. I think that's what we've been up to. My brothers and our family has a cabin. And so we went out there and just spent some time together, and we were like doing some work. We're all new boat owners. It's a cute little 3-person boat. There's like oars on it and everything. But all of us kind of chipped in on a boat, and it's been a good time. It's been, my brothers and I have been able to spend time together and do new things. We have a garden in the back that we've been taken care of. So the last update, our garden, we had like soil in there, obviously. I don't know if you guys can hear that plane going by. We had soil in there, and all our plants grew, but there was like just enough to sustain life. And Josh and I were talking about this, like, it's so funny because we're like learning now, like as this goes. And I guess we should have checked on our soil before we planted. So we had to take everything out and put it into pots and then dig like a foot into, like so far into the ground, put in new soil, turn it all up, and then replant everything. I was super sore for a couple of days, but now we have tomatoes. it was just like that. It was like popping after we got new soil. So I think that's my update. Other than that, living life, working with some awesome communities online. I think after we do our check-in, we'll do one of the games that we love to play with the communities we work with. Transitioning to this online world. We're 21 weeks into it, and it's been a good time. So whoever wants to go next, Tomas?
Sure, I'll go next. Well, I recently, well, I guess not so recently, but became a dad. I've been talking about that in some other power hours, and it's just one of the biggest blessings in my life, transitioning into fatherhood and raising a little baby matriarch. And I was balancing work and just responsibilities at home and just making sure, I'm there for our baby girl, Hesea. Hesea Koya is her name. And I feel like that required some, I think, challenges I had to work through on how to make sure that I could keep up with commitments for work, as well as being a good partner to Sierra, and then being a good dad for baby girl. And so I went from being on like paternity leave, basically, to going back into working as the creative director for Indian Country Today, and as well as moving forward with some other projects. And I think I learned a lot about listening to my body, listening to the teachings that we share here on the Power Hours, that I hear from community, that I hear from our mentors. A lot of times we have these teachings in our mind, and then when there's the opportunities to really apply them, it's a really important time. And the most recent time for me was I got appendicitis, acute appendicitis. This was just over a week ago, and I felt a little sick the day before, but then I started feeling really sick in the morning, like the day after I was feeling kind of sick, and the pain started getting worse and worse. And in my mind, I was like, oh, I got to keep working. So I was working on this video, and I kept working through the video through like acute appendicitis. And then Sierra was really, really sweet. And she's like, oh, let me make you a tea. And she made me a ginger tea. And that was delicious. It made me feel better. I felt comforted, but the pain stayed. Like it kept going to the point where I could not focus on what I was doing. And I'm giving you the shorter version. I'm going to give a very short version of this, but I couldn't concentrate on what I was doing. And then I said, okay, I got to really listen to my body. I got to stop and see what's going on. And I told Sierra, I just had this sinking feeling. I was like, take me to the hospital. I got to go to the hospital. Mind you, we have this little baby girl who just jumped on screen here, Hesea. And it's another challenge on like how, during the pandemic, where you can't have visitors in a lot of places, the fact that our baby girl hasn't gone on too many trips outside, and how she is like in a car seat, and there's all these factors, but I just knew I needed to be well and that I wasn't doing okay. And I just felt completely supported from Sierra. And she was like, all right, bet, let me take you to the hospital. We'll figure this out. She even packed a bag for me before going to the hospital. We joke around now, but I'm like, dang, she's just getting tired of me. She's all, I was gonna pack this bag. I was like, how come there was a week's worth of clothes in this bag, Sierra? What's going on? No, but she packed a bag for me. And then we were talking to our homie Thosh as well. He's like, it's just funny. Like a lot of times in community, it's just like things you kind of, I guess, just do. But she did it for me. I felt from like a intuition type of and love type of place. And so, yeah, I'll shoot through the rest of it real quick. Just like, she dropped me off and I had to go straight onto a wheelchair. They wheeled me away, and that's it. Like I could only communicate to her with my phone, and it was running out of battery. So long story short, I ended up getting emergency surgery And so that was a big thing for me recently in my life, and it put a lot of things into perspective about again applying those teachings and understanding that in my own suffering, there's a level of mindfulness I can have for those around me who have been suffering or are suffering as well, and what my role is as a good relative. How can I be a good relative to other people as I am going through, you know, these feelings, as my body, as all the parts of, you know, who I am, spiritual, physical, emotional, mental, um, how I'm processing that, and how I can make myself well, but having that compassion and that empathy for others as well. So I could speak about it more later, but that was a really big thing for me. Next. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I still can't believe that happened. It's like, got that text and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna need surgery. And I was like, what is happening? It was, yeah, pretty difficult, but I've enjoyed, you know, taking care of our little family, and whatever he's going through, I'm going through too. So that's about it. It's happening with me. But for as far as what I've been up to, I've just been focusing on being a mama, not trying to put a lot of expectations on myself to like stress myself out. And so just keeping my day very open, and like whatever happens today happens, and you know, just hanging out with this little girl right here. Recently I had a just this feeling of like, oh, I want to do some stuff for myself right now. And so Isaiah is going to be 4 months old, and she has been taking all of mama's time. And so I wanted to buy like a lot of and get a lot of like self-care stuff. And so I went crazy, and like now I feel like I have like my own little at-home spa, because like I got like a waxing thing, like a little pot that like warms up your wax to wax my legs. And then I got a bunch of like nail stuff to do my nails. I was joking with Shailene. We were calling these my little circus peanuts. But let's see. Here you go. There's my little circus peanut. And I've just like been painting like little designs and stuff. And I do most of my painting at night when Hesea is already asleep, because I don't want her like around like any type of fumes, and I've been wearing like a mask and stuff, so being very cautious with that. And so I'm really excited for that. It's the little things, you know. And that is what I've been up to. And then also just like continuing to take what we call visual medicine, and so taking photos and from there expressing ourselves. And so Tomas and I love to take photos. I am his #1 camera lady. And so we had just taken the latest photo that we took was for Indigenous Breastfeeding Week, which is this week. Last week was like National Breastfeeding Week. And so just shout out to all our mamas that are out there doing their thing, holding it down. Oh yeah, there's the photo. Little Hesea. And we had originally planned to take photos of just her for her laughing party, her haha party. So in like Navajo tradition, we celebrate the haha party as like her, you know, coming more into this world. And then also it's just a party, a celebration for laughter and joy. And the person that makes her laugh has to throw the party. And she thinks her dad is like the funniest thing ever. And so he'll have to throw the party for her. And so yeah, we were taking pictures of her, and I was like, "Oh, hey, can you take one of me really quick?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And although I asked for it, he posted it on his Instagram. But it's okay. I always love when he posts about me, and it makes me feel loved. Yeah. So just that's what we're up to. Not that much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for all the things at once, right? Definitely how it feels. Yeah, gee, since the last power, oh man, there's been so many things that have been going on. My sister who's living here with us originally moved over for her PhD, like research. My oldest sister, my sister Rachel, her and her boy are here with us in Santa Barbara, or just outside of Santa Barbara in California. And they're going home in a couple of weeks. So that's been like on the mind. And as well as been talking about New Zealand and being super jealous about how open the country is and how they're able to like do things like not wear a mask in public, go to movies, restaurants, hang out, you know, less than 6 feet apart from each other. It's exciting stuff to hear about. So we've been like listening to that and catching up with family and enjoying their updates as well. And then right in the middle of all this, we were expecting a baby, and then boom, she came. 15 days ago, started at 2 a.m. Our journey ended at 8 p.m., but then secretly just begun, you know, for the rest of our lives. So it's been crazy. It's been crazy. Our daughter Toga Horoma was born, and then 2 days ago, at her brother or on her brother's birthday, she also received her name from my partner's uncle. Choislo gave her name. So we're super stoked. So she has a Samoan name, a Kawi name, she's gonna have a Tongan name. This kid's set, she's ready. It's gonna be a really long name. And we're hoping that she herself can cope with this, you know, hurdle in the future. But there's a lot of things about that, like this time is kind of brought up. Oh, and our chicken started laying eggs, so score. This time has been like super interesting for us, especially me. Especially me. Now I can only speak for me. That's what I should say. It's been especially important for all of us. But you know, for me, like being in that room, singing those songs, holding my partner's hand, and seeing the baby come into this life, you know, begin her walk from one mother's embrace to the next, as she left her mom's womb and came into this world. Now she walks with us. Like she was sustained by her mother's water in the womb, she now has to be sustained by our first mother's water in this life. And it's intense, man. It was intense. I had a couple of friends who I told, we've been very private about the whole thing. It's not that I believe that, oh, we got to keep a hush hush, or I don't want people to know. It's just, I don't know, if I'm in front of you and we're talking about things, then we're talking about things. If not, then probably no, don't talk about things and give you a life checkup. But I told a couple of my friends that night, and especially like my family and my brothers, I updated them, hey, join the club. Yeah, got a baby. And a few people asked, what is it like? What is it like? And then I got it the third time, what is it like? And I just replied to all these texts, I don't know. I can't explain. I don't know what it's like. But my brother asked me a question that I could give an answer to. He goes, how does it feel? Like, dude, it feels like every part of my body just got filled up in an instant. And I had no idea that some of the parts that got filled up even needed anything, or that you could feel. I just like, I don't know. Did I level up? I don't know. But something happened and it was incredible. And that just keeps happening. It just keeps happening. And it just keeps being this beautiful thing. Every time she cries, we talk about how she's building her singing voice. Every time she kicks her legs when we're changing her diaper, we talk about how, you know, she's getting those dancing legs in there. And everything she does is just this reminder of good things, you know? And I love that. I love that. But again, my mind's kind of been caught up in this check-in, like, or sorry, in this time from last time that we checked in with you guys. My mind's kind of been caught up with, I wish things were different for my girl. I wish that we could take her home so that she could see her family. I wish that we could go to our elders without any fear of giving them something that's harmful. And that's happening. That's a reality in the place that I was born, in the place where my mom and my dad live, and a lot of my siblings. And it's strange. It's a strange feeling to live. Like, I don't feel jealous, I don't feel upset, but there is this knowing of it could be different, but it's not. And so my mind is kind of caught up in, why not? Why is it not like that? And a lot of times it comes back to, well, our leadership, those who are in charge. You have tribal leadership in certain places, shutting things down, doing the best that they can with what they have. But, I believe that they weren't given enough information in the beginning to be able to do it in a timely manner, and thus resulted in these negative effects creeping their way into our communities. And here we are at a time where we have the ability to write our names down, submit it to the census, so that in the future, our people have the ability to pull in funds that represent the number of population that we have. And here we are in the middle of an election year, where very soon we're going to be going out and putting our names behind some some person, whoever we decide to back, and that personal endorsement could potentially change the next 4 years, the course of the next 4 years, and what that looks like. This is like a super intense time, and as fun, as exciting, and as sleepless and ridiculous as it may seem at times, I really feel like this is a time where the Indigenous 20-somethings project, I'm glad that we got together before we got here. I'm glad that we had these discussions before this time came, because it's here now, and the preparations needed for me personally to be able to get to a place where I feel comfortable. It's gonna sound crazy, but trusting the government, with census stuff. Because before I was like, I don't care, man. There's no reason for me to write anything down. They don't really care about us. Republican, Democrat presidents have come and gone, and nothing's changed where we're from. So what does it matter? And the more that we talk about the importance of the individual voice, the more that I see how things are changing. For example, I20SP did a Nike, not collaborate. Well, we collaborated with Nike, but it was for it was for their campaign, the N7 campaign. And I was talking to one of my cousins back home in Oklahoma, and my auntie was like, "Oh, do you have any questions for Josh?" And he was like, "Nope." And my auntie was like, "Oh, come on, just ask him something. Ask him what it was like to work with Nike." He was like, "Mom, natives do that kind of stuff all over social media all the time." And Tomas was all laughing. The cool thing was, though, what I loved about that conversation was that my cousin, who is 17, thinks this is freaking normal. Thinks that natives just get their voices thrown up all over the place. And companies like Nike are like, yeah, sure, definitely. You want to talk about healing? You want to talk about your indigenous perspective on what it means to be a whole person? Yeah, okay, we'll do that. That was not the norm when I was younger. That was not the norm. And now it is. And these kids who are growing up with it don't even know any different. So it's crazy. This is a crazy time that we live in. And there's so much potential and possibility. And a lot of that potential and possibility, that access, is coming to our doorstep. It's coming into our homes, and it's right here. And all of us have access to it. I think that's so cool. Anyways, that's a long check-in. That's how I'm feeling.
That's a great check-in. Sierra was changing baby's diaper. She'll be back shortly.
No, I like that. When Josh had mentioned that yesterday, I was like, we have a long way to go. I was like, but also, yeah, there's just so much, one, potential, but so many things that are being put out there that, representation matters. And I've been just, reflecting even on the Nike campaign, how many Indigenous voices were being heard in that time. And people I went to high school with are seeing it. Like, one of my friends saw it last week. I haven't talked to her in I don't know how many years, but and she was just like, whoa, I opened my Nike app and I saw Shailene and all of these people that she hangs out with and all this stuff, and I was like, yeah. And we started talking about how representation matters, and then it opened the door to like talking about high school and how like we were one of very few people of color in high school, and how things are changing and voices are being heard. And I think it goes along with the topic we're talking about today, is just how we can find our voice, and whatever that means. And me as a young person, and I may have an education, I'm still working through that, and what are the things that I am really passionate about. And it changes through time. You find different interests and way to express yourself. And a lot of the time recently, I've been doing it through different forms of art. A lot of you who do know me, or if any of my family is watching, oh, Kalina's watching. Hi, Kalina. I refused to bead as a kid. Wouldn't do it. I wouldn't pick it up. I didn't want to touch it. I would wear it, but I wouldn't do it. But since quarantine happened, I was like, I could give this a try. Like, why not? Sure. And I went for it. And it was actually a piece for Hesea. And, as I was working through it, I was like, hey, this is actually kind of cool. But it was another form of expression for me. It was a way for me to, one, like just gratitude and love, but to be able to create something that has its own story and its own like energy that it held, or that it holds, was something new for me, right? And it was just an exciting time, because for one, it was a different form of expression, but it also opened the door for so many things, and just like a lot of thought process, right? And so what does that mean for me? And when it comes to finding your voice, like, yes, I've done speaking engagements and working in communities and campaigns, but this was a new way of me finding something that I now love to express myself. And I think this transition time of using what Charlie Tailfeathers, our mentor, and talks about, this special time right now, and that it won't happen again. And it's an interesting time, because yes, like Josh said, I keep watching like in New Zealand, like their news, and their just how fast they work through things. And in this country, how important one, the census is going to be, right? And what that means for our communities for the next 10 years. I was a kid the last time this happened. What was this, 10 years ago? It happens every 10 years, right? 10 years ago, census wasn't on my mind. I think our parents were still doing that for us, I think. And now it's like, I see things differently, being an adult now, I can see the effects it has on community. I voted in an election before, but this year it seems different than other years. This year, I feel like the election is going to affect so much, right? If we get the same person that we have now, what is that going to mean for our country, right? From even just a health perspective, right? Our communities will just be open and at risk, and will we have to be in our homes for a longer period of time? Or if we have this other person, will it be different? Will we be able to have all these mandates and things that will help keep our community safe, right? So looking into what are the things we stand behind, registering to vote. It's so important, because the people who run even our local governments, right, have a say in what our local communities are going to look like. And I've been paying attention a lot more recently. I live in Oregon now, but how down to our little communities, some have like mask mandates, you have to wear them, and others don't. And you can look at the numbers of cases that are there, And it's all about, who's in power, who's putting these things into law or into practice, really. And so I'm ready to get out of my house, which is why I'm voting. I'm ready to go visit these guys. I'm used to seeing them already a couple of times this summer, and it's already August. And and I think about not only the people that I love and care about who are in the home with me, but this crew here on the screen, all of you in the comments, for you and your families and our safety. Finding our voice, even if it isn't speaking out loud and telling the entire world, but registering for the census, being counted, registering to vote so that you have a say, because your voice matters, your opinions matter, and we all have the opportunity to do so. Those are just some of the thoughts that I had, thinking about some of this check-in and expression, and whether it's through art, whether it's we're looking at politics, whether you want to find a new book. This is my other check-in. I know I said that between the last time we had our power hour, well, minus the one that I got cut off in, that I was going to read a book. I haven't done that yet, but I have this massive bookcase in my room, and I keep looking at it, and I think this is going to be the weekend, and it's a way, hopefully finding more, not time, because I feel like I have the time. Thanks, Sim. I have the time, but it's making the time to dive back into even something old or something new, or just some of the thoughts that I had. What about you guys?
Ooh, all right. Me, you, Josh?
Go for it. I was gonna say everyone's got their mute on because we're all around babies.
I know. I was gonna say, yeah, talking about New Zealand, I haven't had the blessing of going there, but I've been invited a few times from Josh and others, and I think it is beautiful to see leadership, to see community action that keeps people safe, and to set different norms that can be modeled and can be learned from. And I just think it's important to state that their leadership there is a woman, and I think our matriarchs a lot of times get overlooked or not given the attention that they deserve for their ability to lead and to protect and keep us safe. And I think that's just amazing. What I also love about what I've seen, and this is my personal opinion, but I like that even though New Zealand is doing incredibly well when in terms of keeping the cases down and keeping people safe, there was an initiative that was launched recently with Taika, the filmmaker, Taika Waititi, about how there's a lot of racism. And that to me tells me something. It says, yes, even though we're great in certain things, we still have work to do. And I love that attitude. I love that approach to say, it's not about I don't have enough. It's just there's an understanding that we can always improve. We could always learn. And I think again, I don't know too much, but that's something that at least the optics of it, that's what I've seen. And I really encourage that for our communities where we seem like we're doing well. And I know we do this as a team through I20SP. We always are open to what can we do better, and how can we improve um, in areas that we think we already have on lock. And so that was a couple of thoughts that came up as both of you were speaking about New Zealand. And I hope to have that opportunity to travel with my little family, with Haseya, and to experience places in this world through our Indigenous communities. I feel like we are very blessed to have the network that we have, the connections that we have, the kinship that we have, to experience the homelands, the native lands, through the native people that have been taking care of it for such a long time. And so I'm just really looking forward to it. As far as like seeing our family, my sisters finally got to hold Hisea uh, after we were very careful with quarantining, making sure that we were following guidelines. And even then, my sisters wore masks when they were here. And I think that just shows the level of just love and respect. You know, Sierra and I had set certain kind of uh, expectations just for when people visit, and our family's been really great about respecting that, and that makes us feel loved. And just the amount of joy of seeing my sisters hold, you know, their little niece, like that just filled me up. Like Josh says it, like the way that Hesea fills me up too, I agree with you like 1,000%, Josh. It's something else. And I know it's born from the love that I have with Sierra, and then the love that we have for our family. And it's just this new, just deep appreciation for life. And as we talk about finding our voice, I I made sure to like record her first little sounds, like even like her little nostril sounds when she was born, and when she'd eat with mama, I'd get the phone real close, and like it's just every little sound that she was making is just so special. And then when we talk to her, we make sure to like just have a conversation too. Is just like explain things to her, and then also just listen. Sometimes we just sit there and listen. Oh, okay. Oh, what do you think about this? And then the other day she's like, y'all need to do the census. And I was like, all right, little one. All right, we're gonna do the census then. You said that's how I understood it. So she's like, she's like, we gotta make things count. And I was like, all right. But there are things that just like click sometimes. You can like see personality, and since I made her laugh for the first time, I do feel like we have a connection, and she'll like do like little looks like, you think that's funny? Or like there's just this connection that we have. And then mom's just the same too. And I feel like there's no competition of like who can make her laugh more. If anything, we learn. Like I look at things that Sierra does that I know baby likes, and then Sierra looks at me and sees things that baby like, and together I feel like we're just collaborating to make sure that baby is raised in the most loving, sacred, safe household that she could. And again, even though we are able to break cycles that we had in our families, that were maybe hurtful or toxic, and we when we think about it, we're in a very good place in that, in a healing environment. We still ask, what can we do better? And when Hesea says, when she's older, and she can tell us that she sees things that can be improved, then we're going to listen. We're going to be like, oh, okay, we want to build on that. And those were teachings from my parents. My parents said, look at what we've done and take the good. If there's anything that you feel is not good for you and your life, then we respect that. And that was an acknowledgement of, of not knowing everything, a very humble, assertion. And that's how I want to be with Hesea. And that again goes into what we're talking about here, census and representation. Maybe our parents, maybe our favorite uncle or favorite auntie or our grandpa was like apathetic about it, or didn't care. It's not to judge those people, but if we have that ability to say, after I look at all things considered, and after I talk to my friends and other mentors, I think I could bring good to my community by doing this. And then in a good way, implementing that. And I know, because it's happened to me, that when I've done that for my life, the same people that were not really rocking with that type of way of doing things go, I respect you, and that doesn't always happen, but it's a beautiful feeling, because then we can move our families forward in a loving way. So finding your voice is very important. And I'll tell you one more time, back to Taika. Taika was, an artist, and he was doing films, and he was acting, and he had some support from his local community in New Zealand. Now he's doing these big blockbusters, and in a moment of having a huge platform, he's like, let's talk about racism, but his voice started with love for culture, love for humor, making people laugh. And through that, it became this vehicle and a platform to then talk about things that affect all of us, and then using that energy to still make us laugh, but to make us think deeper and to um, question things in a good way so that we can improve the environments that we live in. And so that's I just want to tie those things in. And yeah, thank you for listening to me on my monologue.
Bro, the Maori people have like a really awesome ability to be able to use their voices on a community level, just like across, I don't know, just like across the board. Whether it's their singing voices or their, you will treat our communities this way, you will respect our lands this way. And our people have the same, our people have the same ability, and we're doing the same things. It it's very different. I'm not really too sure what the difference is. And I've talked to like a lot of friends and families about this, and a ton of my family has come over, to visit my parents, who are living in Tamaki Makaurau right now, which is Auckland, the city of Auckland. So living in that space, when they come over, they're just like, dang, they have their language like on every bathroom. Dang, they have their language. And other cities, the town of Whangarei is a favorite place for my parents to go and visit friends and other family members. And when we're driving up there, they're like, how do you say it again? All my relatives from like Oklahoma, Montana, where was that? Whangarei. But Whangarei, just as an example, major port town, beautiful city, but the name is in their language. And so many other places in the country are like that. And it started really with their people being like, nah, this is how you're gonna talk to us, and this is what we will accept. And people just started getting on board. Like the crown was like, all right, there's a long way to go. And I love that Taika is acknowledging that, as well as a number of other artists and individuals in very different like capacities and levels of government and community. But I love that. I love that. I hope that we as a people, separate nations, who all live and share this one place, can get to a similar space as well. Don't know what it would take, but that's been kind of on our minds as well. I just wanted to kind of point out something here that was said in the comments. There was someone who said, dang it, I can't find it. Sorry, my bad. It was that like parenting is a spiritual awakening, and I love that. And there was something else mentioned about parents finding their voices and being able to pass that on. One of the principles of peace that we believe is that our way of being invites others to be that way. If we have found our voice and are confident in our voice, in using it in tribal elections, in local government elections, in federal government elections, in census taking, in whatever it is, in all the things, man, I hope we're all confident in all those things. If we could be there in that space when young ones come to us to learn, whether they're our children or other young ones choose us as mentors, and it's not always super obvious that they do, and they will, and they have, we are going to pass that gift on, or we will not. Because our way of being invites others to be that way. So if we are not confident in our voice, in our community, in our own space, in our family, in our relationship with ourselves, with others, then we will tell them that it's okay not to be confident in these ways, or that other things are more important. And so, like in a roundabout way, we imply that it's not as important. I hope that our people are able to be confident with their voices, to stand up and be counted and be like, this is who I am. This is where I stay. This is, well, I mean, not your address, but this is where I am. This is where I stay. This is where I'm from. This is how you say my people's name. This is how you say my name. It's actually one of the reasons why we gave her name, a Kaiwa name, Togia Horoma. It means she kills in the snow. And for a baby, people came in, they were like, oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, interesting. And then we'd explain the story that it comes from a hunting story and how the animals were providing our food for the year. They were allowing themselves to be found by us. We felt very blessed in these moments that we were with them. We gave her that name so that she remembers that anything that she needs is always right where she is. Her hands, her eyes, her heart, it's more than enough to be able to gather what she needs. And I hope that all of our people can do that, because our young ones coming up, these young Indigenous voices in this like ever-changing climate, political climate, social, economical climate, they need to hear that. They need to see that. They need to explicitly be told, dude, you have a voice, you freaking count. And it matters what you say. And when you speak, people are going to listen. You know, I hope it gets to the point where we have Indigenous communities represented in the White House. We already have them in Congress. We want them in the Senate, man. Let's get them like as governors. Let's run this show. No, but I love this idea of like we're being heard, and the younger generation, like my cousin. Oh, you have any questions for your cousin? Nope. Like that idea of like, this is normal. This is what happens. I hope that we can continue that, and I hope that, you know, all of our people grow up in the best way. Just like Tomas was saying earlier. I feel like I've been talking forever. Sid, Shay, what you guys got?
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Tomas, for sharing. I'm just here with this little girl. She's watching a movie, so that's why she's looking that way. She's watching The Lorax, which is a movie about this spirit that protects the forest. You know, gotta teach them good teachings young. But hi. Okay. Yeah, it's crazy, like when we talk about, you know, teachings of our ancestors and now moving into such a digital space and digital world, like what type of new teachings are we going to come up with when talking about being in this cyber space, you know? And one of the comments is talking about how data can be used against us. And I just wanted to put out there that, you know, there's so much data on us already, like online through Facebook or through Instagram. And just, you know, what does that now mean for us and our communities? How can we use that to uplift our communities and, you know, bring our communities up? And one of the really awesome examples I could use is for funding and, you know, outreach and grassroots of having GoFundMe accounts, and people that are struggling can reach out to community and, you know, get that help. But as far as the census and giving our information out, I think it is really awesome that some tribes do have sovereignty, but there are a lot of tribes that rely on the federal government for funding. And you know, whether if you feel like you don't want to do the census or you do want to do the census, you know, find out if your tribe is predominantly funded by, you know, federal funding or whatnot, and, you know, see what you can do within your tribe, you know, before making those types of comments, because it's very complex of how this whole thing works, and, you know, how we feel about it, the traumas that we feel from the government, the traumas of how we feel about being in poverty really plays in. And I feel okay with the government having my information because I'm signed on to a million other apps where a lot of other people have my information. And so, yeah, like, what does that mean now, like going forward into the future, and how can we talk about this with our elders and cousins, etc.?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think, well, the census is also, I don't know if anonymous is the word, but protected. And so that's one good thing. What's up, Bobby? You just saw him in the comments. How's it going? we have so much to say on the topic. I know that there's a lot to be said. There is so getting distracted. There's a lot to be said. I'm thankful for all three of you, all four of you hanging out today. Yeah, all five of you, well, four of you, five with me. I think just my final thoughts before we go, I'll give everybody a quick wrap up is thank you all. Tomorrow there is a parenting power hour with Jolene, my mom. So who knows what she's going to say. It's going to be fun. And then NWI will be having a similar conversation at the end of the week to wrap us up. So just for myself, thank you so much for being here. I'll let everybody else do their rounds, but we appreciate you hanging out with us. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go next. Bring back to me really quick. She is so wiggly. Look at her. Oh my goodness. Oh, girl. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm so happy to have a conversation with you guys, and continuing to learn new things is awesome every day. Is a learning experience. Some days we have it right, some days we may have it wrong, but just going forward and trying to be a good person is my motto. Try to be a good person, live every day honoring those around you. So thank you guys for having me. I hope I honored you, ancestors, my mama, my grandma, my baby over here, who is very wiggly right now. Oh my goodness, she is ready to go to sleep. Thank you guys. Yonishne, love you all. Peace out.
I want to say thank you, Elekwa, to everyone who has joined us and who's been listening, for all the work that you've been doing for yourself, for your family, for community. Even being part of this power hour is, it's a choice, and it's putting in work. It's emotional labor. So thank you for that. Adding to what Sierra said about data, we've been living in a big data world for a while. Yeah, I agree. We should use that data and work with our Indigenous people and scholars to make sure that the data is reflecting us and the things that we want in our lives. And so there's a lot of people that have been working towards that capacity. So Elekwa, thank you to you as well. Those in academia, those in the sciences, and for all that work that you do as well, in combination and collaboration with what we might be doing as artists, or working in community as health advocates, or just across the entire spectrum. And please just continue tuning in to these power hours when you can, and sharing them if you can. And I wanted to shout out also CNAY, which is the Center for Native American Youth, for supporting us as well for this power hour. Thank you. Josh.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been awesome to be able to have this conversation with my friends, and to be joined by you all in the comments. Bobby, when you said someone had a bear in their cave, I was really looking for it. So couldn't find it. But grateful to be able to have this time. So look forward to talking to you guys again sometime in the future. Join NWI on their page every day at 12. I feel like that's like the Disney. Is that a copyright thing? I probably can't do that. Anyways, catch you guys later. Thanks for being with us.